This is a real-life event, February 2, 1959. Deep in the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union, 9 experienced hikers did something that still makes investigators uncomfortable to this day. They cut their way out of their tent from the inside. And what was waiting outside was minus 30 degrees Celsius. But that's not even the strangest part. The group was led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, an experienced engineering student and survivalist. He and 8 others, all skilled hikers, set out on a skiing expedition across the snowy wilderness. This wasn't amateurs getting lost. These were trained outdoorsmen, strong, intelligent, careful. They documented everything: photographs, journals, daily progress reports. Everything seemed normal until it wasn't. On February 1st, the group made camp on the eastern slope of a mountain known by locals as Kholat Syakhl. Translation: Mountain of the Dead. Yes, that was the actual name. They pitched their tent on an exposed slope instead of camping in the safety of the forest below. It was an unusual choice, but not impossible. That night, something happened. Something so terrifying that 9 rational, trained hikers made the same irrational decision at the same time. They fled into the freezing darkness, barefoot. Weeks later, when the hikers failed to return, search teams were deployed. On February 26th, rescuers found the tent collapsed, half buried in snow, and sliced open from the inside. Not unzipped, not torn by wind, cut. Investigators immediately noticed something disturbing. All of their boots were still inside, their coats, their supplies, everything they would need to survive, which means whatever scared them was worse than freezing to death. Footprints were found leading away from the tent, 9 sets, calmly walking, not running, barefoot, some in socks, one in a single shoe. The prints led toward a forest about 1.5 kilometers away. Under a large cedar tree, searchers found the first 2 bodies. They were wearing only underwear, no shoes, no heavy coats. Their hands were torn and bloody as if they had been climbing the tree in desperation. They had burned branches nearby, signs they tried to start a fire, but it wasn't enough. They froze to death. Further into the woods, 3 more bodies were discovered, including Dyatlov himself. They were positioned as if trying to crawl back toward the tent, trying to return, trying to survive. All 5 were ruled to have died from hypothermia. But then investigators found the remaining 4, and that's when this story stopped making sense. The last 4 bodies were found in a ravine under 4 meters of snow. They were better dressed, some were wearing clothing taken from the dead, but their injuries were something no one could explain. 1 had a fractured skull, 2 had massive chest fractures, comparable to injuries from a car crash. 1 young woman was missing her tongue. No external wounds, no signs of a struggle, just devastating internal trauma. 1 medical examiner stated the force required was similar to being hit by a vehicle, but there were no vehicles, no other footprints, no evidence of another group. And then came the final disturbing detail. Some of their clothing tested positive for elevated radiation levels. Radiation in the middle of the mountains in 1959. The Soviet government quickly closed the case. The official cause of death? An unknown compelling force. That was the exact wording, an unknown compelling force. The area was sealed off for 3 years. No explanation, no transparency, just silence. Over the decades, theories exploded. Avalanche? The slope was too shallow. Military testing? Possible, but no official confirmation. Paranormal? The mountain's name certainly didn't help. Infrasound caused by wind vibrations? Secret weapons? Yetis? Every theory raises more questions than answers. And here's what still unsettles investigators today. Why did they cut the tent instead of using the zipper? Why leave without proper clothing? Why were there no defensive wounds? Why were some injuries so severe yet their skin remained intact? And most haunting of all, what could make 9 people abandon safety in freezing darkness calmly? In 2020, Russian authorities reopened the investigation. After decades of speculation, they concluded it was caused by an avalanche. But critics weren't convinced because there were no typical avalanche signs, no snow pile crushing the tent, no chaotic footprints. The mystery remains officially explained, but to many, it isn't. 9 experienced hikers, one mountain called the Dead, a tent cut from the inside, bodies scattered across frozen darkness, radiation, and an unknown compelling force. This isn't folklore. It isn't fiction. It happened February 2, 1959, and to this day the echoes remain, but the evidence still incomplete. This is Echoes and Evidence, where every echo leaves a trace, and every trace demands answers.